Hello everybody and welcome back to coverage of the 2025 PCS Open here in Øverås, Norway. This is round 2 back 9 MPO lead card coverage brought to you by MDG Media. We have perfect scoring conditions in terms of weather, an incredible card, and most importantly, I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Mr. Elias Luukkonen.
What's up, Connor? What's up, viewers? And welcome to the back. I hope you watched the front nine already. If you didn't, please check it out before. We had some interesting action, a lot of different rounds. Leading the card, Adam Ham is also leading the tournament right now. Other players are still in the mix, but you can see a lot of separation in the scores. Casey just barely over par there. Aaron Gossage getting himself just under par on the final hole of the front nine. But the entire field is pushing. The hot round in the clubhouse is already 11 under, set by a couple of players. So these guys aiming for something similar, and let's see if they can do that on the more difficult back nine, starting on a very interesting hole. Tell me about hole number 10, Connor.
This is quite a unique hole in the shape required off the tee. You can go left or right of this initial gap here. You have two fairways and two entrances to the sweet spot, which is right about here. This allows you the widest gap and entrance into the green. Otherwise, you have to hit a very slim gap between those trees. But once you do, you break out into this open green sloping softly left to right. I think the tee shot is most certainly the qualifier for an easy birdie chance. Otherwise, it's Scramble City.
The word gap on this hole is definitely one of the more common words to use, as there are a lot of potential gaps to hit. Adam Ham is hitting at least 3 of those on the drive. Look a little bit fast out of the hand, so I think that qualifies as being slightly lucky to get through not only the first gap, but even through some of the backside trees.
And a common mistake there, a little bit too straight, not finding the fade in time. That is either not overstable enough of a disc or too much anhyzer, depending on Aaron's choice there. Ezra looking for something similar. Those two guys often throwing similar or even the same discs on a lot of shots, playing their practice rounds together as well. It is common, both being disc golf players, that they're finding similar choices to optimize the play.
And talking about similar, couldn't be less similar from everybody else. Casey White going with an extremely overstable disc upside down. So you can see his disc actually flew very close to a normal disc. The only difference is that he gripped it with his thumb against the rim. The disc was the wrong way around. Very interesting choice, as Ezra is going to be putting from long distance for birdie. It's a pretty common view on this hole. A lot of players scrambling and not quite getting up there under the baskets.
About what I expected. Me.
Adam really far up in the perfect sweet spot. You could not ask for a better drive in terms of result. Comes up just shy in that first bush, but he is just 5 meters or so. Looking to take advantage of that great drive. Aaron, this is what you do. This is the price you pay when you don't get to the sweet spot. He's going to continue trying to chip away in these tiny gaps, and it is kick after kick after kick. I'm surprised to see him not lay up to that early gap after the first one, but he's now committed to fighting through. And just like that, gets his way up there. I think they could consider introducing a Mando on this hole to potentially force players through the intended gap. A very nice bid by Ezra. Maybe a controversial alteration to this hole.
Yeah, the hole still feels very new. I feel like that is the biggest problem. A lot of trees, are making the very small gaps, and maybe the decision on what is the perfect route to play the hole through is not quite clear. As that's going to be a good birdie from Adam. I believe he played the hole close to perfection, of course, besides pushing the backside a bit too much on the drive. Not getting punished though. On a hole that is still averaging slightly below par. A lot of the field getting a par on this one, but still 26% birdie. Those under par playing holes were definitely more of a theme on the front than on the back, even though still majority of the holes, 7 out of the 9 holes, are playing below par on the back. Hole 11 being one of them, 39% birdie here on this 110-meter hole that is surrounded by hazard on both left, right and long side. So the closer you get to the basket, the closer the hazard gets to your disc. There's really only one big pine tree on this fairway that you're trying to miss with either a hyzer forehand that fades just in front of the tree and skips hopefully to edge of the circle or even a little bit inside. Or if you're more of a backhand turnover player, you can go for that turnover shot that hopefully fades back just at the very end, not to find that right side hazard.
Adam gives it a lot of height that will prevent him from having any interaction with that tree he needs to beat to get inbounds. He is well safe. Looks like an early circle 2 birdie bid. Ezra a little more of a straight shot in terms of height, and you see he is rewarded with a closer result. Just takes on a little bit more additional risk. We go to Casey opting for a pure standstill.
Beautiful angle, just not quite having the 2 extra meters of height it needed to reach the basket. Still gonna be within putting distance. And let's see if Aaron can utilize his forehand power. I love this angle for him. Just going pure hyzer, and there you go. Inside the circle. That makes the hole look very easy. I'm surprised with how close both Ezra and Aaron got without really pushing that longside pine tree at all.
Fading just at the right time. Adam finding chains at the right time. Very well done. He's 7 under through 11 now, continuing the pace which he set in the first round to be the leader if he could string together a few more birdies. And another missed putt for Casey here. He's giving himself opportunities, just not capitalizing on the majority of them. Aaron, great to see his putt coming together though. He inversely has been giving himself a few chances. Off the tee has been a little bit wild, but bringing it together nicely on the green.
Yeah, I feel like Aaron's game sets up in an interesting way for this course, because I'd see this course being definitely a touch player's course, especially on the front 9 and for the couple of first holes on the back. But he's more of a power player, so interesting to see how he manages these holes as we move on to hole number 12, 210 meters. This is gonna be a really difficult hole, the most difficult one on the course. Want to throw a soft flex shot off the tee, ideally to get to the best possible position. Small turnover will do also if you're only looking for a par or a trickier approach. And on the approach, want to go either through the gap that the drone is flying through, or you can go over the top if you want to ensure landing on the island. I'd say the over the top play is preferred if you have a big forehand, but if you are looking to approach with a backhand, then the low route is slightly better.
A very conservative angle and height from Adam. Flat release with a soft turnover, but catches an inside, kicks left. I would expect, unless he has a very lucky gap to cross, that will be a pitch up to the next landing zone before the island. Ezra with the most pure drive you could possibly find on this hole, even getting to the grass. That will give you much nicer footing than those wood chips, particularly on the forehand. Aaron looking to shape his flex. Great to see that kick straight down, leaving him center fairway. Any kick too severely left or right introduces a lot more danger and trouble. Casey going to be left scrambling as well, but also looks to have sat down. This is a very manageable shot he has now. Will just need to control the distance. He wants to move quickly left without pushing too far straight, and we see great touch from him there.
Very nice, and that's going to be a showcase of his forehand power if he opts to go for it. I'd say from there it's definitely on the edge of most even good forehand players' range, whether they can actually get over the trees to the basket or not. Let's see Adam here. Scramble shot as well, trying to get to the sweet spot, hopefully. Set himself up for just about 90 meters to the green. But surprisingly, he hasn't been controlling the distance on that shot, and that's going to be OB long.
Casey once again going pure standstill. You see his angle control there. Heiser's into the green, and that's also quite rare to find. Players often try to throw pretty hard into this green, given that that short means that you don't yet cross. Aaron going super high spike forehand. Beautiful execution there. Should secure him. Easy par. Ezra with a chance to try and still fight for the birdie. Had a perfect tee shot combined with this upshot. Could give him the elusive 3 here on hole 12. That should be enough.
I think he's done it. I think he's going to be one of only 13 birdies in the field on hole number 12 today. I heard an interesting riddle from some other Finnish players yesterday. They were talking about this hole, and they posed the question before the tournament: if you could choose to play this hole 1 over through 3 rounds, would you take it? And some people were having a tough time with that. I think it tells about the difficulty of this hole, as Casey White also gonna unfortunately show us the difficulty of this hole.
Tell us in the comments, would you take a 5 average through 3 rounds here on hole 12? Certainly a tricky one. Ezra is in fact one of those 13 you mentioned, Elias, to get 5 under for the round. And par, also a very respectable score, particularly with an imperfect tee shot. You will not be too worried about that. The double bogey does hurt a little bit, but he will not be the only one. We see here hole 13. This is a thrower's hole. This 222 meter par 4 has OB lining the left and right the entire way. You will want to throw something over this pond. On a day like today, I expect to see players throwing quite high over the trees. On a headwind coming off the water, you might be enticed to throw a lower, straighter shot, but anywhere near the sweet spot, those rock walls will leave you roughly 100 meters into this green, most commonly accessed through a spike hyzer. Once again, with OB lining all sides, you just need to manage the height and the width. But for this card and these beautiful conditions, I would say this is one of the more attackable par 4s here on the back 9. We have Ezra up first. I'm expecting a soft hyzer release pretty high that flips up to flat and then gets some late fade to the left.
Wow, that shot was flying. The tree he hit in the air is about 140 meters away from the tee, even a little bit further. So definitely had a lot of power. And Aaron not being, I can't say who throws harder, Aaron or Ezra. I feel like Ezra maybe has slightly more spin on the disc, but Aaron definitely want to punish it and put some good speed on it. This time he's going to be a little bit shorter, but also in solid position for the birdie.
Adam going significantly wider. Will need this to swing back in time. He is flirting with the right side OB as he filters back through those trees. Looks to have found himself something manageable. Will be a slightly longer look into the green though. A nice looking drive from Casey here. And anywhere near these rock walls will indicate a spot that you can be for a nice birdie look. What a friendly roll there. An extra 10 meters. That is the exact position you would like to see from your drive. Assuming you're not throwing as far as Ezra's might have gone. And he is right on that OB line. a discussion now between the card.
Adam with a compromised swing there really had to follow through short. And I'm impressed with how much power he was able to create from such a short follow through. He's going to be, I believe, just outside the circle there. A good chance for birdie. A good chance for a bounce back. I feel like this hole must be the most common hole on the course for a bounce back, as hole 12 is so often bogeyed, and this hole is, for these bigger arms, a very manageable birdie.
A mean out of bounds for Gossage there, though.
Okay.
That branch kicked him, altering the flight of the disc just enough to sneak him over the line. A little bit painful. Casey, a low piercing shot into the green. It looks fantastic.
Oh, I knew it.
Skips it into the cage, and
I freaking knew it, dude.
somehow pure frustration for him. Despite hitting the cage, you can understand he wanted it to go in, but still an incredible shot.
I think it's one of those days for Casey where even if you throw the perfect shot, just feels like everything is going against your way. And Ezra there, beautiful spike hyzer. Love the distance control there. And come on, Casey. To redeem himself after that bad break. Not gonna be it. Extremely frustrating, I feel, for the guy. Would have been a nice bounce back as well.
For Hamiz, also not able to get the bounce back. We go to Gossage for the par save now, the third throw, but the fourth stroke. And this green playing tricks on our lead card. A lot of emotions being shown by these four players here, and nobody saw that one coming. Complete dejection from the basket of 13 for our lead card on a hole that I think is very birdieable. Elias, give us a percentage here. How much of the field was able to find the three?
That would be 36%, sir. And 36%, most of that 36%, I assume, is going to be some of these better players in the field. For the bottom of the field, it's definitely much more difficult, as not every player might be able to throw that 150-meter hyzer. As we're moving on to 14, a tricky par 3, a tricky one to park, an easy one to get inside of circle 2 or circle 3, as it's 128 meters, plays beautifully for a straight to right finishing shot, but the right finish needs to be very late, and I'd say the best shot for the shape of the fairway is going to be a late turning backhand. You only want it to be turning at the very end, at the last 30 meters of the flight. An over the top forehand is a play we have seen. A low forehand can also work. But yeah, definitely a decision to make, mostly for disc stability on this backhand.
See a soft hyzer release, a quick turn from Ezra's disc. I believe caught up on the early right side. We go now to Adam. Is a player who has the forehand power, but we're going to have to see a lot of height and a lot of turn. Scratch that. He goes for the low piercing gap. And it gets through some super dense trees. A fantastic result, given how small of a gap his disc had to get through. Very favorable.
You know, I really respect that play. I respect the play that he's throwing the disc towards trees and saying, I'm fine if I don't get lucky. And accepting the chance that half the time he's going to hit some trees, half the times maybe he gets through. In case they're a little bit high on the release. Let's see if Aaron goes over the top, and he does. Thought he was a little bit too much hyzer out of the hand. And yeah, that's the case. He's still going to be maybe on the edge of C2, but it's pretty much an unrunnable putt with the elevated green.
That is the more traditional forehand line, let's say, but only reserved for those with huge power on the forehand trying to go over the trees. Ezra left with a short chipper. This plateaued green, offering you a small drop-off both long and left. Casey looking to shape A high anhyzer putt here. Yep.
Just citing the words of Casey there. Frustration continues as Gossage looks like he's going for this big putt to make and just barely pulls it wide. I respect the effort, and the frustration is even more visible with this one. I wouldn't like to be his bag at this very moment.
Or his discs, given how hard he's throwing them.
You think he's even warming up for the long par 4 coming up?
I think mobility going a long way there. Practicing the throwing motion. Can't throw a disc, but you can throw your chalk bag.
Very true. And there you go, Ezra, even with a sarcastic fist bump after making that 4-meter putt. Looks like everybody has their ways of coping with the frustration. Moving on to a tricky hole. What's the play on this one?
This may help them vent some of that frustration. You can go for a big drive off the tee. You have two initial gaps, the more straight one or the left. A high backhand turnover is the most favorable play that flexes back out into the middle of the fairway. This par 4 is 260 meters, quite attackable for the upper end of the field in good conditions, but in a headwind can play very long. However, these guys, all with the distance required, you have two options into the green depending on your lie, either a backhand hyzer or forehand hyzer. It is really the shooter's choice, but most importantly, off the tee here, you want to maximize distance inbounds.
And I'm surprised. Looks like Adam disagrees with that statement, going for a short forehand even. I think he's gonna have a really tricky shot to the green from there.
That is very conservative from him. I'm curious to see if that's simply a play for par or if he is going to try and push for a huge second shot. Ezra going for the turnover line with some understability, but chooses the right gap off the tee. I think that line in the left gap would have been ideal. Casey also going to that inner right side, but with a lot less understability. This needs to slow down, and fortunate for him, it does. That could have led to some more frustration for him. It's enough distance to give him a chance, but will require a pretty significant pump on the next shot if he wants to make it to the green. Aaron has smoked this drive here.
Wow, the rock that he got past is a sign of a big drive on this hole, and he's past that by 10-15 meters. Let's see if Adam just plays for the par. Yeah, looks like he's not even going for the green on this one. I am very curious to if this is his play in all conditions, or is he waiting for maybe a tailwind off the tee? Because today we had almost no wind on this hole.
And I wonder, even similarly, is that his play when he's in solo first place, or is that also his play when he's trying to chase someone down? I would imagine we know for a fact he has the power to get there into simply what is within his risk tolerance. He chooses to take that out of play, and Ezra has this really wide initially, but does fight back towards the green. He awaits the spotter's flag. He is safe, but will be left with a slightly longer look. Aaron with an amazing drive here, left with just over 100 meters into the green.
Yeah, you could actually see, if you just paused to his start of the run-up, you could see the 100-meter stake just on the right side of him. So that was a good 160-meter low distance driver shot. Pretty impressive stuff off the tee. And Adam, everything going according to plan so far. He's up there, just 4.5 meters for the par. I guess that's what he wants, being in solo first. It's really not a bad time to take a par on the second most difficult hole on the course.
Oh, dude.
Ezra knew that was not going in the moment it left his hand, even hitting chains. He's so dialed in on the correct release. So is Casey White. Finds himself a birdie. And he leaps that wall. We get another look here. Quite a unique putting form. It's spinny, it's pure. He throws up the fingers. I wanted to see the jump in slow-mo as well. But an incredible putt for him that should alleviate some of that frustration.
Aaron there. Good birdie as well. Utilizing the good drive, poor approach, and a solid putt.
Hey guys, quick break. We just dropped our brand new 2025 MDG Media THRU clothing collection, which is now available on our online shop. You will find fresh apparel and a full lineup of discs. If you like what we do, if you want to support the project, this is the best way. See you on the website and enjoy the video.
See you on the website indeed. Hole number 16. 185 meter par 4, a blind tee shot. You're going over a hillside. There is a prominent right to left slope through the entire fairway, so you want to see your disc rather turning over to the right than fading towards the OB left. You throw a good 110 meter drive straight down the middle, slightly turning right. You're gonna be set up for just a little pitch putter shot, hopefully to the green, which still takes some good distance control.
Casey's hoping to see this turn, and it does. Really nice, fantastic progress down the fairway, and a very good height as well. Anything that is underturned or too high can very quickly find that left out of bounds for the backhand drive.
This is looking too turned, and what a kick back to the fairway. While that is not the longest of drives from Aaron after the kick, he's going to be on the fairway and still probably doesn't need more than a mid-range to get to the green from there.
Adam with a pretty pure drive there. Does err to the right side. As you begin to fade, like Casey's does, it introduces some unnecessary risk, but does make your upshot quite easy. Ezra shaping over the crest. And the late flip is just beautiful. That is prime time. Being on the right gives you a nice, clean, downhill look into the green. As we see him hustling to his next shot, we go now to Gossage. Going to have to pick a gap here on the forehand hyzer flip. Will be flirting with the left side OB if he kicks a tree, but fortunately gets the friendly kick back to inbounds.
You can see the walking pace on the card is quick. Everybody is slightly frustrated and looking for the next birdie. Of course, that's not going to be the case for Adam, as he's still well in control, in the lead of the tournament. And that's going to be another chance for birdie.
This is a nice spot to be. You have a big wide open gap. You have an option of backhand or forehand. Even in terms of stability, he opts for the overstable forehand hyzer and almost chucks it in two. Even with that eagle run, is able to slow it down before the OB long and left. Casey, so far up there, has a simple chip hyzer into the green, and textbook execution and dissection of this hole from Casey White. Well rested from his time in the jacuzzi.
Yeah, shout out to MDG for providing these players with such opportunities. As we're going to see Adam Hammes going with the signature stepper once again, and it's good. I feel like his stepper is looking on, and I mean, honestly, he's looking like one of the better C2 putters in the world as far as how this round has gone.
If we talk about consistency from C2, Adam is right up there in this tournament. Of course he is, being your solo leader, through the first 2 rounds so far. Still 2 holes left to go. I would say both 17 and 18, both completely manageable birdies. And just like that, the cleanup crew takes down these short remaining putts, and we move on to 17.
17 gonna be a U-shaped par 4, 155 meters. Off the tee, you want to go for a high forehand if you have the shot. A high backhand turnover can work, but I'd say the high forehand is way more consistent. Just chuck it over the trees, finish right with a distance driver. You're gonna have a tombstone on the landing zone, and the second shot very much a similar shape, though maybe plays slightly better for the backhand turnover. So right turning shot off the tee, right turning shot on the approach. A lot of the times you'll see players be a little bit short on this hole. So interesting to see if the lead card makes the correction compared to some of the other players in the field.
Casey has done well there, gives it a pump, goes for that high spiking forehand. We see Adam opting for the very same, very high, very wide, very spiked, and they are side by side.
Looks like the forehand is the play of the card. Ezra going much lower, potentially challenging the backside OB, but never mind. And that is actually going to be the best angle to the green. The further you can push towards the backside OB, the easier your angle on the second shot will be. I think Aaron's looks really nice as well. A little bit shorter there, but really no problem with any of these drives.
Look at that heat map. All within a meter of each other, except for Ezra, who's just a few meters from them. He is up first. As you mentioned, Elias has the widest gap into the green, being more left. Comes in really quick. Finds a skip, which is unhelpful. We saw a lack of ground play on the first, keeping him inbounds. The opposite on the second shot, sending him well past the basket. Adam unable to pierce through that gap. Catches the trees near the FPO green.
And this is definitely a hole where par does sting, as Casey White gonna have an easy birdie from there. Let's go. Yeah, par on this hole, while 50% of the field is getting a par, 43 are also getting a birdie. So these top players need to be part of that 43% in order to keep pace with the field.
And this hole is so short for a par 4 that any sort of mistake is punishing. A great bid from so far away. You saw in his body language, he thought that had a chance. So did we here. And he'll be left with just a short par tap in. Aaron from deep, neither of them joining the 43%. Ezra, a long chance. And that's not it either. Only Casey from our lead card able to join those who found the birdie on 17 here in round 2.
Good cleanup there from Gossage. As we mentioned, has been using different putting styles from different distances, and even on the front nine we saw that from inside or just on the edge of the bullseye he was going for more of a spin putt, but that distance still clearly more suitable for the push putt that he's using from further out. And there you go, Casey White picking up at least a stroke on the card.
But has fallen back a little bit from the lead, or even more than a little bit, looking at tied 34th currently. The chase card and those before them had a very good pace, some really breakout performances, but we'll take a look at that after our lead card completes hole 18. This 202-meter par 4 offers 2 options off the tee. The forehand hyzer, trying to beat these trees coming up to the right of your frame. Alternatively, an understable backhand. There is a third option for those who have huge power, which is try to drive all the way to the green or close to it. But I think given this is only round 2 and all of these guys are in a reasonable position, There is no need to take on any crazy risk. You then make your way to this iconic tractor green with the elevated basket and OB lining all sides. From Casey here, we are going to see a backhand hyzer release with slow turnover. This is a really good pump here. Well out into the field, but squeaks by onto the wrong side of the OB line. Given how far that was, though, I think the par save is still very much in play.
Yeah, that must have been part of his decision making there. Just trying to get as far down the fairway as possible, where if he does go OB like he did, the par is still very manageable. Compared to Adam there, sacrificing distance to go for the more consistent forehand drive. But Adam is going to be way out of position, and same for Ezra. OB left. Uncharacteristic, unexpected forehand mistakes on this hole from players who have world-class forehands normally.
Speaking of Gossage, another world-class forehand player, does beat those trees that you need to beat on the forehand. Being way up there on the right as well gives you a much more downhill look. It's a much more touchy approach into the green, but requires way less distance than a similar shot from left of the position. Ezra looking to spike his hyzer in, make his way to the green, and that soft ground there catches him beautifully just by the front of the tractor. He will have his opportunity to save par and end his round at 13 under. Adam, look at this. He's inside the trees.
Just trying to pitch out, and that is well done. 60-meter approach left from there. And he knows he only needs a par on this hole to have the solo lead going into round number 3. As Aaron going for the high forehand, I like the play, and just sticks it short of the OB, taking the short side trees out of play by going so high and well above them. And let's see, this is a very important shot from Adam. Looks early, but he's gonna be just around the corner, and that is an easy par, which is going to lead to Adam Hammes being your clubhouse leader after 2 rounds.
And Casey looking to close out what was for him a very tumultuous round with a lot of up and downs, but strung together 3 solid birdies. Has another opportunity to make a putt there for par on 18. Aaron, 2 under for the round. I think not the performance he was looking for, but certainly respectable and still in the mix. This is Casey for the par. Has had troubles on the greens all day. A moment of redemption for him in front of the crowd, in front of the clubhouse, behind the tractor, facing his par.
And the par is going to be his destiny on hole number 18, which actually statistically plays really interesting. It is the 4th most difficult hole on the course as far as scoring average, but it is the most birdied hole on the course at 47% birdies. I think that is such a strange stat and hard to explain. I feel like people are taking big numbers here, but the majority of the field is getting up and down for that birdie as well.
The minority finding the danger. Adam Hammes here, this short putt left to secure that solo lead position going into the 3rd and final round, looking to go wire to wire here. An incredible weekend for him so far. We'll see if he's able to keep it up, and we'll listen to some insights from him in just a moment.
What's up, Adam? Brennan here from MDG Media. Great round today. Give me some thoughts about your round.
Felt good. I got pretty good sleep last night, so I was feeling really good coming to the course this morning. No fatigue, nothing like that. It seems like the music that they start us with on hole 1 is like, for some reason, gets my heart rate up and makes me a little nervous. So I started the round a little nervous, finally got my first birdie, and it calmed me down. Yeah, and I went on a pretty good stretch there, an unforced error on 12 that easily could have been avoided. And yeah, just kind of finished the round out. Maybe not as strong as I wanted. Really wanted to get 17, 18, you know, being sidearm for me. Just kind of, I don't know. Yeah, overall, pretty good round. Happy to stay in the lead and excited for tomorrow.
Give me some thoughts about Norway in general. Coming over here to Europe, it's a really special experience for a lot of the players. How are you feeling about it?
Norway is beautiful. We got a 30-minute drive to Airbnb every here and back, and it's just beautiful. Seeing the water racing down through the mountains from the snow that's still up top, and just the beautiful trees. It's just crazy. Got to see my first stag yesterday too. Big old bull stag, just right off the side of the road. That was pretty cool. One of my favorite animals. And yeah, it's Norway, man. We're so far north. It just doesn't get dark out. It's beautiful. Just trying to soak it all up while I'm here.
Cool. One last question. If you had any thing you could say to a young aspiring disc golfer wanting to compete or to get better at their game, or to, to get to your level, is there anything you could say to them?
Best thing you can do is just play, play, play. Obviously, it's easy to say. Experience is everything. If you want to be a tournament golfer, you got to grind out your C tiers, you got to grind out your B tiers, and you just got to, try to play 10 tournaments a summer. Just get as much experience in tournaments as possible, and they'll set you up for the big stage, hopefully.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Adam.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
A beaming interview there from Adam Hemmes. Very relatable, enjoying his weekend. You see our solo leader, Gannon Burr in second, Jesse Nieminen in third. Our lead card will be rounded out by Anthony Barella in our third and final round. Thank you so much for joining us and hopefully enjoying this beautiful coverage. Elias, it's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to have you around, and always a pleasure to commentate you guys. You viewers are the reason we do this. See you guys in the final round, where we will crown the PCS Open 2025 champion. See you there.